The hottest fire forges the strongest steel. Seneca. They thought breaking you would humble you. They thought walking away would leave you chasing their shadow, begging for their attention, waiting for crumbs. But what they didn't realize, my friend, is that they didn't leave you broken. They left you burning. Because when a Stoic man falls, he doesn't stay down. He rebuilds himself from the ashes and becomes the very fire that keeps others awake at night. Hey folks, imagine this. You're standing in a dark room and someone walks out holding your only light. You panic at first, trying to find your way, stumbling, reaching for the glow that's fading away. But then your eyes start to adjust. You realize something powerful. You didn't lose your light. You were the light. You just forgot how bright you could burn on your own. That's the kind of awakening we're talking about today. The moment you stop chasing the people who walked away, the moment you stop explaining your worth to someone too blind to see it, you stop being the hunter and start being the flame. And flames, my friends, don't chase, they just rise. Most people have it twisted. They think attraction is built through effort, attention, and endless availability. They think if they show they care harder, love louder, text faster, they'll win someone back. But the truth? The more you chase, the more you erase your mystery. The more you explain, the less they listen. And the moment they feel you need them, the fire of attraction dies out. You want them to regret walking away? Don't send a message, send silence. Don't prove your worth, embody it. As Marcus Aurelius said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one, that's where your power is. Not in reaction, not in revenge, but in quiet transformation. Because when you go still, when you stop explaining, defending, and chasing, you become unpredictable. And unpredictability, folks, is magnetic. They'll start to wonder where you went, why your energy feels different, why you're no longer orbiting around them. That confusion, that's the seed of regret beginning to bloom. You see, regret doesn't hit when they leave. It hits when they realize you didn't fall apart. It hits when they see you glowing differently, walking taller, speaking calmer, and living freer. That's when the tables turn. The person who once thought they had control now feels the weight of their own mistake. I'm not here to sell you false hope. I'm here to remind you of a simple truth. You were never the one who lost. You were the lesson they'll never forget. Every time you hold your peace instead of proving your point, you're winning. Every time you choose silence over reaction, you're burning their regret into memory. So let's make a promise today, right here, right now. You're done chasing. You're done begging to be seen. You're done waiting for closure. From now on, you're the fire, the one who doesn't chase warmth because he is the warmth. The one who doesn't explain his value because he embodies it. Type this in the comments so I know you're walking with me. I am the fire. Because you are. And the moment you start believing it, everything and everyone will start moving differently around you. Stay with me, because what's coming next will make them remember you every time they close their eyes. Number 1. Stop explaining your worth. Never waste your breath trying to prove your value to those committed to misunderstanding it. There comes a point where you have to stop performing for people who will never clap for you. You've been trying, haven't you? Trying to explain why you're good enough, why you're loyal, why you deserve to be seen. You've written paragraphs that went unanswered, sent long messages that were left unread, and convinced yourself that if you could just say the right words, they'd finally understand your worth. But they didn't. And deep down, you know why. Because people who need convincing will never stay convinced. My friend, imagine standing in front of a mirror, but the mirror is cracked. No matter how clear your reflection is, the cracks distort it. That's what happens when you try to prove your value to someone who's already made up their mind about you. You could shine like gold, and they'll still say you're dull, because it's not you they're seeing. It's their own damage projected onto you. You can't make a broken lens see clearly. You might ask yourself, but what if they just need time? What if they didn't see it before, but they will now? That's the fear whispering in your ear, the fear of being forgotten, the fear of being replaced, the fear that maybe, just maybe, you weren't enough. But here's the truth. They didn't walk away because you weren't enough. They walked away because they weren't ready to handle enough. They weren't ready for someone with depth, presence, or consistency, and so they took your worth and measured it with the shallow scale of temporary emotions. Seneca once said, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable." Yet most people surrender that power every time they beg for understanding from those who never intended to listen. Every time you explain your worth to someone who devalues it, you hand them the power to define you. You trade your crown for their approval. You turn your dignity into a debate. And that's not love, my friend. That's self-abandonment dressed as effort. Let's break one of the biggest lies you've been told, that love means proving yourself, that if you explain harder, wait longer, or stay patient enough, they'll realize what they lost. But real love doesn't require persuasion. Real connection doesn't need explanation. The moment you feel like you're constantly auditioning for someone's attention, you've already lost the role. Because love built on convincing isn't love. It's captivity. Think about it. When you start explaining your worth, you automatically lower it. The lion doesn't explain its roar. The sun doesn't apologize for its heat. The ocean doesn't beg to be admired. They exist in their truth, and the world adjusts. But when you start trying to make them understand your value, you give them the illusion of authority over it. You become the salesman of your own soul, pitching your greatness to people who can't afford it. It's difficult, I know, especially when your heart is still attached. When you wake up and that silence feels heavier than any goodbye they could have given. When you scroll through old memories trying to decode what went wrong, you think if they could just see how much you care, they'd come back. But the stoic truth is, they already saw it. They just didn't appreciate it. And chasing more proof won't change that. It only convinces them that you don't see your own value either. There's a reason Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." Because once you stop explaining, your actions, your silence, your composure, those become the loudest proof of your worth. The person who left expecting to see you crumble will be haunted by your calm. They'll expect bitterness but find discipline. They'll expect drama but find distance. And that contrast, that unbothered stillness, will burn deeper in their mind than any explanation ever could. The hardest part is letting go of the urge to be understood. Humans crave closure. It gives us peace. But the Stoic understands that peace doesn't come from their apology. It comes from your acceptance. Acceptance that some people are not meant to understand you. They're meant to misjudge you so you can learn to stop needing their validation. You want to burn their regret into memory? Then stop talking. Stop explaining. Stop giving them the power to question what was already pure. Let them sit in the silence they created. Let them wonder how someone they once overlooked became so unreachable. Because when you stop explaining, they start questioning. And when they start questioning, regret begins to grow. I know what you're thinking. What if my silence makes them think I don't care? But that's exactly what you want them to think. Because that thought, the fear that you've moved on, becomes the fire that burns through their pride. You don't need to prove that you care. You already did. Now your silence proves something greater, that you care about yourself more. And that shift, that realization, will shake them. When you finally stop explaining your worth, something amazing happens. You reclaim your peace. You stop performing and start existing. You realize that the right ones never need convincing, and the wrong ones never believe it anyway. You become like the mountain, solid, unmoved, existing in truth regardless of who stands beside it or walks away. So let them misjudge you. Let them misunderstand your silence. Let them underestimate your strength. Because the moment you stop chasing clarity from them, you find clarity within yourself. And that's when everything starts to change. Your stillness becomes power. Your restraint becomes a mystery. Your peace becomes punishment. And they'll start to feel it. The regret creeping in, the confusion taking root, the echo of your absence whispering through their quiet moments. They'll realize that you were never the problem. You were the peace they weren't ready for. So, my friend, stop explaining your worth. Let your growth do the explaining. Let your peace be the proof. And let your silence burn their regret into memory. Type this in the comments right now. My silence speaks value. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world that you're done performing for people who never deserved the show. And stay with me, because next, we're going even deeper into how to turn your emotional silence into the loudest message they'll ever hear. Number 2, the power of unavailable energy. If you are always available, you become invisible. Let's be honest, folks. Most people don't lose attraction because you changed. They lose it because you became too accessible. You were always there. Always replying fast, always showing up first. You gave them front row seats to your heart, even when they didn't deserve the ticket. You thought being available meant showing love, but to them, it only meant one thing: you'd never leave. And when people think you'll never leave, they stop trying to make you stay. Imagine this. There's a fire in the distance, glowing bright, pulling everyone closer with its warmth. But if that fire starts walking toward them, chasing them, begging them to feel its heat, it loses its mystery. It's no longer something to seek, it becomes something to escape. That's what happens when you make yourself too available. You stop being the warmth they crave and become the flame they take for granted. Now, I know what you might be thinking, but if I don't show interest, won't they forget about me? Won't they think I don't care? That's the fear talking, the fear of being replaced. The fear that silence means losing them forever. But here's what you must understand. Real attraction doesn't grow from presence alone. It grows from distance. When they can't predict your energy, when they don't know if you'll reach out, when they start to feel the space. Curiosity begins to replace certainty, and curiosity is the seed of desire. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." Being unavailable isn't about ghosting people. It's about embodying that calm strength. It's about having the discipline to not respond immediately just to ease your anxiety. It's about showing the world and yourself that you don't move out of fear of loss. You move from peace and control. Let's break one of the biggest lies, that love means constant access. It doesn't. In fact, constant access kills attraction faster than conflict ever could. When you're always reachable, you remove the thrill of discovery. You strip away the mystery that keeps people engaged. They stop wondering about you because they already know where to find you, everywhere. Think about it. When something is always available, we subconsciously assign it less value. A diamond on every street corner wouldn't feel rare anymore. A sunrise that lasted all day wouldn't feel special. Your availability has the same effect. The more of it you give away, the less it's appreciated. The Stoic understands this truth deeply. Value isn't shouted, it's felt through scarcity. And yes, it'll feel strange at first. That quiet, that pause. You'll want to reach out, to check in, to show you care. Your emotions will scream, "Do something." But that's exactly when you must do nothing, because your restraint, your ability to stay composed in silence, becomes the most attractive thing about you. When you stop chasing, your energy shifts. You start walking differently, talking differently, carrying yourself with a calm confidence that says, "I'm good with or without you." And that energy, that subtle indifference, is magnetic. They'll feel it even through silence. They'll check your stories. They'll think about you when they wake up. They'll replay old conversations and wonder what happened, because suddenly you're no longer predictable, you're not chasing, you've become the mystery they can't decode. And that's when they start chasing you. Being unavailable doesn't mean being arrogant or cold. It means protecting your peace. It means you're not accessible to everyone, anytime, for anything. You choose where your energy flows. You stop explaining why you're busy, why you need space, why you're not responding right away. You simply move like a man who values his time, his focus, and his growth. And that energy doesn't go unnoticed. It radiates. Seneca once said, "He who is brave is free." And that's what unavailability really is. Freedom. Freedom from needing their reaction to feel worthy. Freedom from performing emotional gymnastics just to stay relevant in their mind. Freedom from proving you care by overgiving. You don't lose people by being unavailable. You lose the ones who are only staying because you made it too easy. When you become less available, you force people to meet you halfway. You set a silent boundary that says, "My time matters." And that's when the shift begins. They start chasing the moments you once gave freely. They start craving your attention again because it's no longer guaranteed. You've turned your energy into currency, rare, valuable, unforgettable. It's difficult at first, yes. Your heart will fight it, your mind will crave response, and your ego will whisper, "Reach out, fix it." But the Stoic in you knows better. You know that peace is worth more than presence. You know that discipline is love directed inward. So you let the silence work. You let the absence speak. Because what they called distance is actually your self-respect returning home. And when they do come back, because they will, you won't even need to prove anything. Your energy will speak louder than your words. Your calm will remind them of what they lost. Your growth will show them what they'll never find again. So stop being the open book they skim through and start being the mystery they can't stop thinking about. Stop being the daily story and become the legend that lingers. That's the power of unavailable energy. It doesn't chase, it attracts. Type this in the comments right now. My silence is power. Because it is. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that the moment you stopped being everywhere, that's when your energy became priceless. Stay with me, because next we'll talk about how to turn their silence into your signal. And that's where the real reversal begins. Number 3. Turn their silence into your signal. Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. When they stop talking, when the messages stop coming, when the energy that once felt alive suddenly fades, most people panic. They assume silence means rejection, or worse, replacement. Their mind starts racing. Did I do something wrong? Are they losing interest? Are they talking to someone else? And that panic drives them straight into emotional overdrive, texting more, chasing harder, breaking their own boundaries, trying to get a reaction. But what if I told you their silence isn't your problem, it's your signal? My friend, imagine standing at a crossroads, and instead of noise, there's absolute stillness. No wind, no footsteps, no signs of movement. At first it feels eerie, even terrifying. You want to hear something, anything that tells you where to go. But the Stoic knows that silence isn't absence. It's feedback. It's direction. It's the universe showing you where to stop investing and where to start evolving. Here's the truth. Silence reveals more than words ever could. Words can be dressed in lies, but silence Silence exposes intent. It shows who was there for convenience and who was there with conviction. When they go quiet, when they withdraw, they're telling you something without saying a thing. They're saying, "I'm no longer willing to meet your energy," and that's your cue to stop giving it. The old you would have filled the silence. You would have over-explained, tried to fix what wasn't yours to fix, written messages in drafts hoping to sound just right. You thought if you could just say the perfect thing, you'd bring them back. But the Stoic version of you knows better now. You understand that silence isn't something to fear, it's something to use. Because here's the paradox most people never realize. The moment you stop fighting silence, you start controlling it. When you respond to their distance with stillness instead of panic, it sends a shock through their ego. They expect you to chase, to fold, to react. But when you don't, when you simply pause, they start hearing their own echoes. They start wondering why you haven't reached out, why your tone has changed, why your absence feels heavier than their presence ever did. That's when silence becomes your loudest statement. It communicates strength without aggression, confidence without words. You're no longer trying to fix the dynamic, you're letting them face it. Because sometimes the best way to teach someone your worth is to remove their access to it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Learn to be indifferent to what makes no difference." That's what this step is about. Their silence doesn't define you, it defines them. And when you stop personalizing their withdrawal, you reclaim control over your emotions. You realize that not every silence is rejection. Some silences are protection. The universe is removing distractions, clearing space for your next level. But let's be real, it's not easy. The mind doesn't like unanswered questions. The heart doesn't like unfinished stories. You'll have moments where you'll stare at your phone, waiting for the screen to light up, convincing yourself to send just one message. You'll fight the urge to reopen the wound just to feel something again. That's the test. That's the exact moment where silence becomes a spiritual exercise, a muscle you strengthen by not giving in. And each time you pass that test, each time you resist the urge to chase, you grow. You train your nervous system to find calm in the unknown. You prove to yourself that peace is an inside job, and that evolution is what starts to shift everything. Soon, their silence stops hurting. It starts revealing. You begin to notice patterns, the way their attention only returns when you pull back, the way their interest fades when you overgive. Suddenly, you're no longer reacting to their rhythm. You're writing your own. Their silence becomes your mirror, showing you how much power you've been giving away. Here's something I want you to remember. Your silence is not punishment. It's protection. You're not ignoring them out of spite. You're prioritizing your peace out of wisdom. The more you pull your energy inward, the more you start hearing yourself again. The noise fades and your inner voice grows louder, the one that says, "You've done enough. You've given enough. It's time to receive your own energy back." And that's when the tables turn. Because people who once took your attention for granted will start craving it again. They'll start noticing the quiet. They'll replay your last words, your last tone, your last look. The same silence that once scared you will now start haunting them. Because the truth is, silence always echoes louder in the heart of the one who caused it. Seneca once wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." Stop wasting your time filling spaces that were never meant for you. Stop pouring effort into people who only understand your worth in your absence. Let silence be your filter. It separates the temporary from the timeless. So the next time they go quiet, don't chase it. Match it. Mirror it. Let it speak for you. Because your lack of reaction will say everything that words never could. I'm not waiting for you to value me. I already do. This is where real attraction begins, not from desperate messages or emotional explanations, but from quiet composure, the kind that says, "I'm not angry, I'm just done proving." That's when regret begins to form, slow and heavy, like smoke filling a room. They'll start missing your energy, your voice, your presence. They'll wonder where that warmth went, and the truth will hit them. They lost it by choice. So let silence be your signal, not your sentence. Let it guide you back to yourself, because when you learn to move calmly through the quiet, you become someone no one forgets. You become peace they can't disturb. Type this in the comments right now. I master silence. Because silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that when you stopped fearing the quiet, you started commanding it. Stay with me, because next we'll talk about how emotional detachment turns that silence into pure power, the kind that makes them come back, not out of guilt, but out of gravity. Number 4, detach emotionally, rise strategically. He who angers you, conquers you. Epictetus. Most people think detachment means you stop caring, that you become cold, unfeeling, distant. But true emotional detachment isn't about cutting off your emotions. It's about mastering them. It's not about becoming numb. It's about becoming unshakable. Because when you can stand in the middle of emotional chaos and still remain calm, you become the one who controls the room. You become the one they can't manipulate anymore. Think about it like this. You're standing in a storm, rain hitting hard, thunder roaring, wind trying to throw you off balance. Everyone else around you is running, panicking, desperate for shelter. But you plant your feet, close your eyes, and breathe. You realize something powerful. The storm isn't here to break you, it's here to reveal your strength. That's emotional detachment, the ability to stay steady when the storm hits. Most people lose themselves the moment someone they care about starts pulling away. They start reacting instead of responding. They text faster, overthink longer, and end up handing over their peace like a free gift. Why? Because they think love means always being emotionally available. But the truth is, if you can't stand still without their validation, you'll always be dancing for their attention. And that's not love, my friend. That's emotional slavery. Emotional detachment is about flipping the dynamic. When you detach, you shift from reaction to observation. You stop asking, why are they acting like this? And start asking, what is this teaching me? You stop trying to control the outcome and start controlling your response. The moment you realize that your emotions belong to you, not to their behavior, you win the game they didn't even know they were playing. You see, people test your emotional stability without even realizing it. They'll pull away just to see if you'll chase. They'll go silent to see if you'll break. They'll create distance to see if you'll beg. And most people fail that test because they react. But when you detach, you flip the mirror. They start questioning themselves instead of you. Why isn't he reacting? Why isn't he chasing? Did I lose my grip? That confusion, that uncertainty, it's where their regret begins. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That's the foundation of detachment. You can't control whether they stay or leave, but you can control whether their leaving destroys your peace. And when you stop letting external actions dictate your internal world, you become dangerous in the best way. Because nothing shakes a person more than someone who refuses to be emotionally manipulated. Now, let's address the fear. The fear that detaching means you'll lose them forever. That if you stop reacting, they'll forget you. That if you stop chasing, they'll move on. But let me ask you this. If the only way to keep someone is by constantly abandoning yourself, is that even love? Or is it self-destruction in disguise? The Stoic doesn't cling to people. He connects deeply, but never desperately. He understands that losing someone might hurt, but losing himself in the process hurts far more. Detachment is not withdrawal, it's alignment. It's understanding that peace is more valuable than proximity. You don't walk away out of anger, you step back out of clarity. You stop feeding what drains you. You stop trying to control what's outside your control. You give yourself the gift of stillness, and that stillness becomes your superpower. And here's the paradox. When you finally detach, they feel it. The same people who thought you'd always be there start sensing your absence. They notice the lack of response, the calm tone, the silence where your emotion used to be. That's when the energy shifts. They feel what you used to feel, because emotional detachment flips the script. It turns their control into confusion. You know why detachment is so attractive? Because it's rare. Everyone else is running around in emotional chaos, reacting, begging, panicking. But when you stay centered, you stand out. You become that calm in the storm they can't forget. You become the one they compare everyone else to, the one who didn't lose composure even when things fell apart. That's power. That's respect. That's emotional mastery. So how do you start? You stop chasing closure. You stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You stop taking every silence personally. You breathe through the discomfort instead of reacting to it. You train your mind to say, "It's okay. I choose peace," because once your peace becomes non-negotiable, no one can shake you. Seneca said, "If you want to be loved, love yourself first." That's the essence of detachment. You become so rooted in self-respect that even if they walk away, you don't lose ground, you just lose weight. You stop seeing their absence as rejection and start seeing it as redirection. Detachment doesn't mean you stop feeling. It means you stop letting feelings run your life. You still care, but you care from a place of power, not panic. You still love, but you love with boundaries. You still connect, but you don't cling. You can look at them, smile, and say silently, "I want you, but I don't need you." And that, right there, is when they start needing you again. Because the truth is, emotional detachment doesn't push people away. It pulls respect toward you. It burns the illusion of dependency and leaves behind only what's real. And the ones who truly see your value, they come back. Not because you begged, but because your peace became irresistible. Type this in the comments right now. I choose peace. Show them, show yourself. Show the world that you've mastered what they couldn't, control of your inner world. Stay with me, because next we'll uncover how to use this power to make them face themselves. The mirror effect that turns regret into realization. Number 5, the mirror effect. Make them face themselves. What you see in others is a reflection of what you have not yet healed within yourself. Every person you meet holds up a mirror to who you are. Some reflect your strength, others your wounds. And the one who hurt you, the one who pulled away. They were the mirror that revealed your deepest attachments, the ones you didn't even know you still had. But here's where most people go wrong. Instead of learning from the reflection, they start chasing it. They try to fix the mirror, not realizing the cracks they see were never theirs to mend. You've probably been there. You gave your best. You loved with honesty. You showed loyalty in a world addicted to options. And yet, they made you feel like it still wasn't enough. You started questioning yourself, your looks, your worth, your effort. You thought maybe if you changed something, they'd stay. Maybe if you explained more, gave more, did more, they'd finally see you. But my friend, what they saw wasn't you. They saw themselves through you, and they couldn't handle it. That's what the mirror effect does. It exposes people. When you stand in your truth, when you give without manipulation, when you love without agenda, it reveals those who can't do the same. You become a reflection of what they're not ready to face. Your presence confronts their insecurities. Your consistency reminds them of their instability. Your emotional depth reminds them of how shallow they've been living. And instead of rising to meet you, they run. Not because you were too much, but because you made them see too much. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And when someone's mind is filled with chaos, fear, and ego, your peace will always feel like a confrontation. That's why people often project. They accuse you of what they're guilty of. They blame you for emotions they can't manage. They punish you for the truth you made them see. Here's a hard truth to swallow. People don't leave because they stopped caring. Many leave because caring about you would mean confronting themselves, and that's terrifying. Being with someone grounded, aware, emotionally mature, it forces them to face their own emotional immaturity. They can't manipulate you. They can't predict you. They can't control the narrative, so they choose distance because distance is easier than self-reflection. But here's where you regain your power. You stop taking their behavior personally. You stop seeing their rejection as your reflection. You understand that their silence, their withdrawal, their inconsistency, it's not about you. It's about what they see when they look at you. You trigger the parts of them they've buried, and instead of healing, they hide. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "When someone does you wrong, immediately consider what judgment of good or evil led him to it." In other words, don't focus on the action, focus on the mindset behind it. Their behavior is just a projection of their internal world. So when they ghost you, mock you, or try to devalue you, it's not because you're unworthy. It's because your self-worth exposes their lack of it. You don't have to chase, prove, or explain. You just have to mirror back their silence with your peace. That's how you make them face themselves. Because nothing shakes a person more than realizing they can no longer trigger the one they used to control. When you stay calm, you're forcing them to see their own chaos. When you stay silent, they start hearing their own noise. And when you continue to rise, they're forced to watch what life looks like without the balance you once brought. It's like holding up a mirror to the storm. They start seeing the damage they caused, not because you told them, but because your peace reflects it back. You become the living consequence of their choices. And trust me, that image, your calm evolution, is something they'll never unsee. This is why you don't need revenge. You don't need to show off, post cryptic messages, or pretend to be unbothered. You just need to live in a way that reflects growth. Your silence, your focus, your discipline. They all become the mirror they can't escape, because every time they see you thriving, they'll be reminded of what they lost. Every win you achieve, every peaceful moment you create, it all reflects the truth they tried to deny. You were never the problem. It's not easy, though. The temptation to prove your worth is strong. The urge to show them how much you've changed will whisper in your mind. But that's the trap, because the moment you try to show them, you step back into the role of validation seeker. Instead, let them find out on their own. Let them discover your glow through whispers, through rumors, through what they see online. Let the world reflect your evolution while you stay still. Because here's the thing about mirrors. Once you show someone who they are, they can't unsee it. They might deny it. They might run from it. But deep down, they know. And that knowledge will follow them long after you've moved on. It will replay in quiet moments. It will echo in their next relationship. It will burn into memory, not because you forced it, but because truth has a way of haunting the guilty. So stop trying to change the reflection. Become the light that makes it clear. Let your calmness expose their chaos. Let your detachment reveal their dependency. Let your healing show them what they refuse to grow into. Because when you hold your peace long enough, they'll be forced to face what they lost. That's the mirror effect. You stop reacting, and suddenly they're left alone with themselves, and that's a pain no distraction can numb. They'll remember your energy, not because you reminded them, but because it reflected everything they weren't. Type this in the comments right now. I am their mirror. Because you are. Show them, show yourself. Show the world around you that you've outgrown the need to be understood. You're here to be remembered. And stay with me, because next we'll talk about discipline. How mastering your desires becomes the weapon that keeps you untouchable. Number 6. Discipline over desire. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Seneca. Desire makes slaves of men who were born to rule themselves. Discipline, on the other hand, is the quiet crown of those who master their own minds. And when it comes to attraction, regret, and power, this truth cuts deeper than most realize. Because every time you let desire control you, every time you chase the rush of their attention, the buzz of their messages, or the comfort of their approval, you hand them the keys to your peace. Think about it. How many times have you broken your own boundaries just to feel a moment of connection? How many times have you said, "This is the last time," only to find yourself back in the same conversation, the same emotional loop, the same pain? That's what desire does. It whispers lies wrapped in emotion. It promises relief, but delivers regret. It tells you, if you just reach out one more time, you'll feel better. But every time you do, you lose a piece of your discipline, and with it, your power. Picture a warrior sharpening his sword before battle. He knows the importance of patience. He knows that rushing makes him sloppy. But the undisciplined version of him would charge too early, reacting to the noise instead of the strategy. That's what happens when you let desire dictate your moves. You act from impulse, not intention. You fight to be seen instead of standing in silence and letting your presence speak for itself. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That's the essence of discipline. It's not about suppressing how you feel. It's about refusing to let feelings turn into foolishness. You can want them, you can miss them, you can remember them, but you don't need to act on it. The ability to sit with desire without obeying it, that's real strength. You see, desire wants the shortcut. It wants instant gratification, the text, the validation, the dopamine hit of a seen message. But discipline plays the long game. Discipline knows that the power isn't in the reach, it's in the restraint. Because when you can resist that pull, you start to rise above the pattern that once kept you stuck. And suddenly, the person who thought they could control you with silence starts to feel something new: respect. Let's be real, though. Discipline feels like punishment at first. It feels like silence stretching longer than you can handle. It feels like walking through withdrawal. But that discomfort you feel, that's your old identity dying. The one that begged for attention, chased for closure, and reacted out of fear. It's dissolving. What's being born in its place is a man who moves with intention, who doesn't let his emotions run his life. And here's what's crazy. Once you reach that place of calm discipline, the tables turn again. The very silence that once hurt you becomes your weapon. The stillness that once felt empty becomes magnetic. You stop moving emotionally, and they start moving nervously. Because nothing rattles a person more than realizing you no longer react. Your self-control becomes their mirror, reflecting their lack of it. Desire is temporary. It fades the moment it's fed. But discipline? Discipline builds legacy. It's what transforms your energy from scattered to sacred. It's what turns heartbreak into high ground. The person who masters discipline doesn't just win in love. They win in life. Because every area of life rewards those who can delay gratification. Fitness, career, peace, it's all the same rule. the more you control your impulses, the more the world bends in your favor. Now, why is it so hard for people to choose discipline over desire? Because desire feels familiar. It feels alive. It gives you something to do when you're scared of stillness. But Stoicism teaches the opposite, that stillness is the real action. The man who can sit with discomfort without escaping it becomes unstoppable. Because while others are reacting, you're reflecting. While they're chasing validation, you're building value. Seneca once wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." That's what discipline gives you, the proof. Every moment you resist the urge to break no contact, every time you choose silence over reaction, every time you sit with the craving and let it pass, you're proving your strength to yourself. That's how you burn regret into their memory, not by chasing, but by showing them the version of you that can't be controlled anymore. Because they'll feel it. Oh, they'll feel it. They'll remember the man who once replied in seconds, now taking his time. They'll remember the one who once poured emotion, now walking in peace. That shift in energy becomes unforgettable. It makes them question their choices, their control, their confidence. Because when desire loses its grip on you, it tightens its grip on them. The truth is, discipline doesn't just build attraction, it builds respect. People might be drawn to your desire, but they'll stay because of your discipline. They'll come to realize that your silence wasn't indifference, it was mastery. That your calm wasn't cold, it was control. So the next time that urge hits, the temptation to reach out, to react, to explain, pause, breathe. Remind yourself that this is your training ground. Every moment you choose control over chaos, you're sharpening your edge. You're becoming the man whose peace can't be bought, whose silence can't be broken, and whose worth no one can question. Type this in the comments right now. I choose discipline. Say it with intent. Let the world see it. Let them see it. Because that's the moment you stop being ruled by emotion and start ruling your energy. Stay with me, because next we're going to talk about the silence that burns louder than words, the point where your calm becomes their chaos. Number 7. Silence that burns louder than words. When you can't control what's happening, control how you respond to what's happening. That's where your power is. There comes a point when words lose their meaning, when explaining, defending, or proving yourself no longer changes anything. That's when silence becomes your sharpest weapon, your invisible armor, your loudest voice. Because silence, when rooted in strength, not ego, can do what words never could. It makes them feel what they refuse to hear. Think about it, folks. You've probably said everything you could already, haven't you? You've tried reasoning, pleading, apologizing, even when you weren't wrong, just to make things right. You gave closure in conversations where they gave confusion. You thought if you just explained clearly enough, they'd finally understand. But they didn't. They didn't because they didn't want to. You can't wake someone pretending to be asleep. Now imagine this. You walk out of a room quietly. No drama, no slamming doors, no last words. Just stillness. At first, they don't notice. They think you'll come back like you always do. But time passes. The air grows heavy. The absence starts echoing. That's when it hits them. Not through your message, but through the silence you left behind. Because silence has weight. It lingers in places words can't reach. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is to be unlike the one who wronged you." And silence is exactly that. It's choosing not to react when your pride is tested. It's letting go instead of trying harder. It's saying everything without saying a single word. You see, most people expect noise when they hurt you. They expect the argument, the guilt, the reaction. What they don't expect is peace. And nothing disturbs the guilty more than your calm. Silence flips the power dynamic. When you stop responding, they start reflecting. When you stop trying to fix it, they start wondering what broke. When you stop reaching out, they start reaching inward. That's when regret begins to form, slow and quiet, like smoke after a fire. It's not loud, it's haunting, because the same silence that once made you anxious will now keep them awake at night. The beauty of silence is that it exposes truth. You start seeing who checks in when you stop initiating, who asks about you when you go missing, who cares enough to close the gap. Silence filters out the noise. It separates those who were attached to your energy from those who valued your soul. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. But make no mistake, it's not easy. Your mind will crave reaction. Your heart will ache to speak. The fear will whisper, "What if they forget me?" But the stoic in you must whisper louder, "If they can forget peace, they were never ready for it." Silence isn't the absence of communication, it's the presence of control. It's self-respect disguised as stillness. And let's be honest, silence isn't weakness, it's strategy, it's restraint, it's the loudest form of confidence. The one who remains quiet doesn't do it because he has nothing to say. He does it because he no longer owes anyone an explanation. He's mastered the hardest art of all, letting time speak for him. Seneca wrote, "Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it." That's why silence is sacred, because while they're out there reacting, defending, and pretending to move on, you're still observing, growing. You're conserving your energy for the things that matter. You're becoming the calm they'll crave once the noise around them stops being enough. Eventually, they'll come back, not because you chased, but because the silence became too loud to ignore. They'll remember your tone, your patience, your consistency. They'll feel the absence of your energy like oxygen leaving the room. And that's when they'll realize the one who said the least ended up saying the most. But here's the truth. Silence isn't about making them regret losing you. It's about reminding yourself that you don't need noise to prove your value. You don't need validation to confirm your worth. You don't need closure to create peace. You are peace, and that's why silence works. It turns the chaos outside into clarity within. So don't break your silence just because they can't handle it. Don't let their confusion become your trigger. Keep your composure. Let the quiet do the talking. Because when you stay silent long enough, your energy becomes unforgettable. Your absence starts to feel like punishment. And your peace becomes the one thing they can't find anywhere else. Silence burns louder than words because it forces reflection. It doesn't beg, it doesn't explain, it just exists. And in that stillness, they finally face what they lost, a person who mastered himself when they couldn't. Type this in the comments right now. My silence speaks louder. Because it does. It always has. If this message hit something deep in you, if you felt that shift inside where peace replaced panic, then don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to remember their own strength. Stay with me, because this is just the beginning of your rise. You're not broken, you're becoming unshakable.